Hey guys, it's Doc Liberty 32 again, back for my second video, and today I'm going to discuss gun control and the gun control debate. Before I get started, I want to say a couple things that I did last time. One, I have no political allegiance or affiliation to either side, left, right, independent, and I especially want to state that just because I support the Second Amendment and the rest of the Constitution for that matter does not mean I want children in school to be shot. I want to make that clear now because there's this idea propagated by the media that anyone who supports gun rights doesn't mind children being killed. I have two children myself and would be devastated if someone were to shoot my children with a weapon. But at the same time, I know, just as any rational person should know, weapons don't kill people. People with weapons kill people. Okay? So let's keep that in mind as I go through this. And I'll get into it so we're not watching this video forever. These are a couple graphs I pulled from our own government. The one on the right is from the FBI's website. And this shows to everyone who will take a look at it, even you, mainstream media, that since 2007, overall violent crime has decreased in America. On top of that, in the lower left-hand corner, our own Justice Department correlated that a decrease in overall violent crime correlates with an increase in gun ownership. Now, I don't know much about the space program, and I don't have a master's degree or a PhD, but I can understand that graph. Okay? Why aren't you seeing this on the national media? In fact, why is it that CNN, through Piers Morgan, has made a concerted effort to say that when Alex Jones was on his show, he lied about the FBI's own statistics? Why is that? Here it is, right here. Go Google FBI crime statistics. Then go Google Justice Department gun crime versus gun ownership. Go Google it. Look it up yourself. Don't believe CNN. Don't believe Fox. Don't believe me. Okay? But there's something wrong. It forces us to think about something when the Huffington Post of Chicago even reported that murder clearance rate worst in more than 2 decades in Chicago. Now, what do we know about Chicago? Chicago has some of the strongest gun laws in the nation. So if gun control works so much, what's wrong with Chicago? That's a good question. Let's move forward. Another graph I pulled from the FBI's website. This is displaying the 10 big killers of the United States of America. And if you pay attention real quick, you don't got to take forever looking at this graph. But at the very bottom, it shows you firearm homicides comes in last place. Okay? In fact, you have double the chance of dying from a fall in your bathtub or down your steps from being shot with a weapon. Okay? That in itself should tell you something. And again, I ask, why are you not hearing this from the national media? Why? If weapons are so dangerous, okay, and according to their own FBI, they've come in 10th place, where is the big move against, banning tobacco in the Senate and the Congress? Why isn't Dianne Feinstein going after the tobacco industry? Why don't we say that cigarettes kill people? Let's say cigarettes kill people, but we know that a person has to smoke the cigarette. You have to smoke it, okay? You have to use that dip or chew. Weapons just don't crawl out of a weapons case and go shoot people. Okay, so another thing I would urge all of you to go look up is the correlation between the last several mass shootings and if those guys were on psychotropic medications. And I think you'll find plenty of evidence showing that there's a correlation there. Now, in this slide, I reference Mother Jones, and I want to address that real fast because a lot of people say, "Oh, how is Mother Jones a good source for any information?" Well, I figure when I was doing the research for this presentation that if the national media was okay with sourcing Mother Jones, I figured I could do the same thing. So if your sourcing validation argument goes that far, let me just dispel that real fast. Okay? And the simple logic, when you look at this graph, will show you Columbine, Virginia Tech, the Virginia Tech University, Sandy Hook, and Aurora. All these major shootings were done where? Gun-free zones. Okay? And what I'm trying to get across to you guys is the gun-free zone argument does not work. It doesn't work. If you walk into a room with 10 people and you establish a law that no one can have a pencil in their pocket, most of the people that follow rules without question will hand over their pencils. But at least one person will hold on to their pencil. Okay? Because people who break the rules don't care about the rules. So why don't you just advertise, enter here to kill as much as you want? And I'm going to show you how much time criminals have once they decide to do something that's against the law. So I reference one of these funny e-cards because it states something that's very, very common sense in a joking manner. Okay, so in my opinion, in my research, criminals are like water, not to quote Bruce Lee, but they look for the path of least resistance. Alright, so if a criminal has to choose between a very athletic, military-aged male who looks like they can handle themselves or a senior citizen who's, waddling across the street, who are they going to pick? They're going to pick the person who they can get away with the crime with easiest. So if you are constantly advertising, I'm anti-gun, I don't believe in guns, good luck to you when one of these goons bust in your house and they have you and or your family, God forbid, at gunpoint. Okay? You can wait for the cops to get there, and I'm going to show you how long it takes them to show up. Let's go back in the past for a little bit. 1995, two people, Eric Holder, Dianne Feinstein. Eric Holder, who really got his claim to fame from the Oklahoma City bombing investigation, was on this campaign. He said, and I quote, "We have to really brainwash the children, especially the children, to not think guns are cool." Okay, which is not a bad thing because guns aren't cool. They're not a fad statement. They do have an application, but they shouldn't be seen as a toy. So in that sense, I agree with him. But look at the way he says it. If you don't want to believe the Daily Caller, go look it up on YouTube. You can see the video from the national media. Okay, Dianne Feinstein, also 1995, she said, and I quote, and you can go look this up as well, she said, "If I could have received the votes in the Senate, I would have said, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in." She didn't say turn in assault weapons or turn in, Barrett 50 cows. She said turn them all in. These are people who do not want Americans armed. Why? Ask yourself that question. Why? Now, let's jump now to 2013. Eric Holder is at the center of Operation Fast and Furious, this gun-running operation into Mexico that ended up with thousands of dead Mexicans and almost a dozen dead border control agents. So, which side of the mouth are they talking out of? Especially Eric Holder. Shame on you, Eric Holder. You should be in a jail cell right now. Then Dianne Feinstein with this bill to ban 157 weapons. Well, that's a very lowball number if you go read her legislation, because she says any weapon that can be modified to hold a foregrip or a modified buttstock or an additional sight or handguard could be deemed an assault weapon. In that instance, it would be banned. That is idiotic. And then she has the audacity to go before Congress and says, well, under my legislation, it would exempt 2,200 firearms. Isn't that enough? With all due respect to the senator, who the hell are you to say you exempt firearms? Our Constitution says shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. It doesn't say, oh, well, the founders only knew about muskets at the time. Well, as Senator Cruz questioned to you, which I think he did quite eloquently, if there's a ceiling to the Second Amendment, does the same ceiling exist for the First Amendment? Are there certain things we can't say because our founders didn't perceive people saying them? No. There can be a legitimate conversation about firearms, but it can't be done on the back of a travesty like the Sandy Hook incident or the Aurora shooting. because these politicians, they use these incidents, and in the words of Rahm Emanuel, never let a good crisis go to waste. And if you don't believe he said that, go look it up. Why haven't you heard about these reports? Local news doesn't waste any time reporting them, where you have senior citizens or women or normal old Joe Blow guys stopping some thug from trying to rob people. Why don't you hear about this? Because it would display to you that there is a practical application for owning a firearm to protect yourself and others. Most people who own a firearm are not thugs. They're not trying to go out there and rob people. But in the media, there's this idea that's being spread that weapons are the devil. Weapons are going to come in your house, shoot your children in their sleep, and then they're going to shoot you. This is not true. I personally own firearms. I have friends that own firearms, and they are probably the most responsible people with firearms I will ever know. So where in the world does the media get off trying to demonize people who support the Second Amendment? Do I own, or would I ever own, a Barrett 50 cal? No, I don't see the need for me personally to own a Barrett 50 cal. But if someone wants to do that, but the Constitution says they can do it. Do I think that I need an RPG? No. Do I think that other people need an RPG? No. But that's the type of conversation we can have. We don't need a conversation over, does a foregrip make a normal firearm an assault rifle, when it does not change the specifications of the firearm at all. The weapon still shoots the same bullets per minute if there is a foregrip on it. It still shoots the same weapons per minute with a scope on it, with a modified buttstock on it. It doesn't change the weapon, it changes the appearance of the weapon. Okay, so we got to use common sense here and ask yourself why the national media isn't telling you about these stories that are happening every single day. Every single day where concealed carry people or open carry people are stopping violent crimes. Another thing the media tried to lie about. In Israel, teachers carry firearms. And if you don't believe me, you can Google that too. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures on the internet of Israeli teachers strapped, protecting those students. Now, if they haven't had a mass school shooting since 1974, wouldn't logic go to tell you that somehow that works? Maybe that whoever in their right mind thinks it's cool to shoot kids sees a teacher with an assault rifle on their back and says, you know what, maybe this isn't good for my health. So how in our nation does some senator in Washington, D.C. or congressman say firearms in schools would not serve a purpose? Really? Really? Example, Israel. Enough said. And we have to get rid of this idea that criminals care if there's a gun-free zone. And this cartoon picture to the right just blows me away, because some people actually believe that that's how criminals think. Oh, what? You know what? This school has a no gun or gun-free zone sign on it. We can't come in here and shoot up kids. Really? Really? What fairy tale land do you live in? This is reality, okay? Good people stop bad people. That's just the reality of it. If you know any friends that are cops or MPs, go ask them why they walk around open carried. Is it because they just want people to think they're going to walk around and shoot them? No, it's a deterrent. It is a deterrent. So how is it that if a normal person walking around the street open carried or concealed carry, how wouldn't that deter someone from doing something stupid? If some dirtbag walked into a school and he knew that those teachers had firearms, do you think he would really just rush in there, guns blazing? No, because he probably think he's going to catch one in the face. So think about this. Now, referring to what I said earlier, response times. New York City, New York Post reported 9-minute response time. 9-minute response time. Okay, so what I want you to do, pause this video, look at the challenge, and then try it. Not right now, you don't have to, but at some point, try it and see how much damage you can do. See what you could pull off in 9 minutes, given the NYPD's response time. Okay, see what you could do. And it'll blow you away that some of these people are saying, you don't need weapons, get a dog. Call the cops, they'll be there. Really? Okay, you try that. And then this is my last slide, guys. defend yourself and your family or be a victim. I honestly believe this. So I think